We got another showcase of content coming with Winds of War, the next major update coming to Gray Zone Warfare. This time, the devs sat down and showed us and walked us through all of the amazing, and I mean it, beautiful and amazing weather effects and rain that is coming in Winds of War. I don't want to already start, but I honestly can't think of another multiplayer open world game that has a remotely even close as good of looking rain and effects as Gray Zone Warfare will be having with Winds of War. Generally, I was super excited about this livestream. The rain will also have some really cool gameplay effects that will affect the player. We are about to have a look in this video, and they also touched upon some other content, the Outposts and Strongholds that are coming to the game. They also showed off a brand new vendor that is tied to these Outposts, and they also spoke about the brand new locations coming to Gray Zone Warfare with Winds of War, and how they also improved and reworked some of the existing locations to bring them to a higher standard. Honestly, I'm super excited about this one, so without further delay, let's get right into the video and take a look. Alright, starting off, the devs wanted to say thank you to all the testers that have been helping them out find and catch bugs for their upcoming update. They found, if I remember correctly, 84 major bugs that they are now fixing and will have them out and gone by the time Winds of War drops. They also wanted to remind the community and content creators that there is a Twitch drop event that will be coming with Winds of War. Creators can sign up for the event right now in order to get access to drops for Gray Zone Warfare. As you can see in this stream, we have our usual face that we always see, very reassuring face. We have Jakub, and we also have Wojtek, the art director, and now we also see Martin, who is their Scala engineer. It is a system that allows them to have all of this next-gen beautiful foliage and have their jungles so full and thick the way they are. Beautiful, by the way. Also, little interesting fact that was really cool to me. Martin actually worked on Mafia 2. I don't know if any of you remember Mafia 2, but at the time, that was probably the most visually impressive game on the market when it came out. I really liked that game. I loved everything about it, except how short it was. That actually killed me a little on the inside. Why, Martin? Why? It should have been way longer, but I'm not gonna start ranting on that right now, and I know Martin wasn't responsible, because Martin actually worked on the weather on that game, and he also worked on rain and effects, and basically is the one responsible for the beauty of the weather effects in that video game. So I think we're in good hands right here, guys. I think this man can cook. All right, getting back to Scala. So Scala is a unique piece of tech right now to Gray Zone Warfare. It is really amazing and cool tech. Like I said, it's the tech that allows them to have all of the foliage and the thickness of the foliage and basically the whole map covered in a thick, beautiful jungle. Scala is very unique in a few ways. You see, Scala combines a bunch of benefits all together in one package and is a great and powerful tool for artists. Scala is basically all of the terrain and the vegetation that you see in the game. All the movement is also thanks to Scala, like the wind interacting with the foliage and water and puddles. Now, all of this is also running in real time and is generated as the player joins the game on their CPU. It's not like mesh stored on your hard drive, taking up a bunch of space. And also, Scala is very smart with how it generates it. It won't just generate unnecessary foliage that the player will not be able to see because either it's just way too far off, like rendering grass that's outside of the player's view. And as I mentioned before, it is pretty huge for decreasing file size of the game, as it's not storing a lot of extra data on your hard drive when it comes to the foliage. The big disadvantage of it, which some of you probably already felt, is that it is super heavy for the CPU, and older CPUs or just bad CPUs will have a hard time with it. But as we know, they are doing a great job optimizing the game, and they are working hard on making it run as best as it possibly can for everybody. Then they started to showcase the weather and the amazing, beautiful AF rain and environment in general. They are adding new locations and reworking locations that are already existing on the map. As I mentioned, they want to provide a better sandbox and exploration opportunities for the player. They also paid a lot of attention to the layout of locations on the map. They want to make sure that exploration is being enticed. So when you go to one location, they have placed landmarks and other locations visible from that location in order for you to see, so you can actually make your way towards it or just basically be tempted to go there and explore. They want people to go out, explore and find loot, get excited and hyped by the things they find, whether it's the location or the actual loot they get from going to that location, or just finding badass fights in really awesome locations to fight in. When it comes to the new locations, when it comes to the outdoor changes and the look they have indoors, it is looking really good. Now, when it comes to the loot, like I mentioned, and the things that players can find in these locations, like I said before, one of them is a good fight, but loot is also going to be a super important factor. They want to improve the loot and change it, make it better, as it is one of the things players want and need improved for gameplay sake. So they are adding some new crates and stashes. Some of the crates will be unique and rare and will be super juiced. They are generally improving loot a lot for this update by adding these new loot boxes and dropping them in a bunch of locations for people to find while exploring. Now, as you can see on the screen, the map is looking different than what you know it as right now. You can see the outposts on this map, as well as some of the new locations. There will be major and smaller outposts with variety of difficulty spread around the map. The big ones will basically be strongholds, and they will be a difficult and hard fight, unlike the smaller level outposts, which will be easily tackled by lower level players and ones that are a bit earlier when it comes to the progression of their gear and general capability as a PMC. Now, they created 16 new locations. The one you're seeing right now is a level 1 combat operation base, or like I said, the outposts. Now, when you attack it and clear it out of all the enemies, your faction will then be holding it and control it as their own, and you will be able to spawn in that outpost or restock right there. Now, when you take an outpost, enemy factions will be able to see that it belongs to you, and enemy factions will now be able to attack and fight you for that outpost and that location. So they will be something that will have to be held down and protected by your faction. Of course, these outposts will help a lot with staying in the world and limiting the flying back and forth, waiting for helis, and just spending a large chunk of your time in transit. I know a lot of people complain about that. Of course, thanks to the spawning and them being in general locations of where you might be questing, you will not feel the need, or it won't even be necessary to take as many heli rides as you do right now in the present stage of the game. Like I mentioned, they show how they place locations in one another vicinity, so they are easier for people to spot and entice them into going over there and exploring them. Now on the screen, what you are seeing is a level 2 outpost. It's a much nicer location than the previous one. It's actually a building this time and not like a little, rundown ruin. Can now actually provide some cover and defend you from the weather elements. Now, just imagine defending this place from an enemy faction. Like, just run the scenario through your head. Holy shit. I can see the vision, and this is going to be badass. This is going to be one of very cool and engaging portions of new gameplay for all the PvP and just general all the players that want more content to keep them busy. I think this is going to be really fun. Next is they showed off some of those brand new locations. They actually showed off 2. Overall, there is 9 of these brand new locations. The ever popular Fanny Paradise, 10 out of 10 goated name. I need to know who came up with that. Fanny Paradise. I would have named it Fanny Fantastic, just to, keep the Fs, but whatever. Jesus. Okay, the new favorite hangout of the Lamang operators. That's right, it is Fanny Paradise. A strip club. Well, it used to be before it got abandoned, and Lamang got evacuated, and now it's basically just a sausage fest, a place for the boys. A place for the boys to hang out. That's there's no women there. Sorry. The second location we got to see is the crashed plane. I always love a crashed plane as a location in video games, especially a crashed plane in a jungle. Now that is cool AF. And it not only looks awesome, it's giving me vibes because it is giving me heavy like reminiscence of Lost W show, by the way. I've actually only recently seen it and I've loved it, except the ending. Now, continuing. Now what you can see on screen is more of them showing off the weather effects. What you can see right now is the water flowing down hills. They have added the ability to the water to not just basically fall and build up and form puddles and stuff like that. This is actually super awesome and something that I don't think you can actually find in many other games, if any, in fact. At least I can't think of one. The water will actually flow down hills and down like inclines. And like I said, it won't just be like a static buildup. It will actually move and flow. It is really amazing, and they want to iterate on it by improving it for upcoming patches post Winds of War. They want to make the water flow look better. They want it to have more patterns and more detail in the terrain. They also want to add variation to how the water looks eventually, like adding mud to the water. Right now, the water is extremely clean and fresh looking, but they do want to add effects to it where when the water is flowing through a certain type of terrain, like extremely muddy terrain, they want that mud to then mix in with the water and its colors being representative in the water, making it basically brownish and not so crystal clear. Basically just having the water become muddy while it's flowing through heavy mud. That would be really nice. Can't wait to see how that would look. Then next we return to the combat outposts. They showed us a brand new vendor that will be tied to an outpost. His name is Vulture. Now Vulture is not a nice guy, and he wasn't a nice guy even before the whole event of evacuation happened. He used to be basically a shady dude, and he was a black market dealer. He ran a black market network with his boys, and with the current state of Lamang and everything happening on the island, he sees it as a massive opportunity to profit, baby. Money, money, money. Now, Vulture is at a combat outpost, and he's a vendor exclusive to that combat outpost. And in order to access him, you will have to capture that combat outpost. Vulture will sell dropped gear from players or from dead bodies. He basically has his people scavenging the island and picking up anything they can find of use, especially from dead PMCs. So if you die with a bunch of nice juice, you might find it later at his shop. So, you know, tough. He's basically like Fence from Tarkov, only he will be exclusive to an outpost and he will only be available to the faction that is holding that outpost. So factions will probably end up fighting over this outpost a lot. The devs mentioned that he will be a very useful vendor to have, so I imagine everybody will want him at their disposal, and it's just going to be a constant battle for holding that specific outpost. I hope they do add some sort of cooldown to when you can attack an outpost, because otherwise I can see people basically 24/7 there being a fight to get the vendor, and the vendor just being impossible to use without the stress of getting sniped by enemy factions. So hopefully there is a cooldown when it comes to taking and attacking outposts. In this clip, they're showing a bit more of the weather and how the rain interacts with different things. In this one specifically, you can see the heli propellers interacting with the rain. Holy shit, it's so cool. That is so badass. The propellers are basically hitting the rain and just, you know, throwing it around like crazy. I don't really know how to, I don't really know the right way to say that. Jesus. Like I also mentioned in the intro, the weather will have multiple effects, not only visual, but also on gameplay. And some of these effects you will be able to manage and reduce by wearing some specific gear, like for example glasses or hats that will stop the rain from flowing down your face and obscuring your vision, including at times when you might be wearing something like NVGs. I really like that. It is such a 10 out of 10 idea, honestly, because in so many games you get hats and glasses and stuff like that, and they're just useless. You don't wear them because you don't get head protection, and maybe in like another game when you wear glasses, they shine like Jesus' butthole and are seen from across the goddamn map. I should probably cut out the Jesus bit. Now, the leaves will be reacting to raindrops, which is actually crazy. So yes, the raindrop will hit the foliage and the foliage will react to it accordingly. Insane. 10 out of 10. You won't be able to lie down prone in like the rice fields anymore, as they will basically get drowned in rainwater, and the level will get so high where for some reason going prone there will be impossible. Maybe it will obscure your vision like crazy, or you're gonna start drowning a little bit. I don't know. In this clip, you can see some awesome effects like water dripping down from roofs. You see in the game anything overhead you might see, like a roof or even leaves from a tree, those will have the water build up and it will then start dripping when the buildup gets to a certain extent. Even after the rain stops and it's not raining anymore, the built up water will still drip and continue to drip off while the surface actually dries. That is really, really cool. They're of course also adding a lot of awesome audio to come with the rain, all the different sounds to represent the weather and the rain effects, of course like different audio for different surfaces for the raindrops, and how it sounds based off the intensity of the rain. Really, really cool, really awesome. And of course, storms and rain conditions that are extremely loud with very loud wind going by your head that will impact the player's hearing and have a huge impact when it comes to people that rely on their hearing a lot when it comes to PvP. Now, the rain will interact with a bunch of stuff in game, not just roofs or foliage. Of course, the guns will get wet and have the rain effects of it dropping on them, and even scopes will be showing water dripping and even have things like the lens itself fogging up. I think they are the first to do that. Holy crap. It looks really, really good. They also actually made the weather and rain representative of what it actually is like in Southeast Asia. They legit contacted some professionals on the subject from that region, asked them for assistance, and made the rain to be representative of what it actually be like in real life in that region. That is some crazy and awesome attention to detail, which, by the way, we know these guys for that. They have an amazing eye for detail and they do push things that extra mile. I do really love these devs. But yeah, they want realistic representation, keeping things as authentic as possible as they do. Of course, down the line, not for Winds of War, but down the line, they also want to implement seasons and have all of those seasons affect the game in the same way the rain and the weather effects right now will affect it with Winds of War. They want the weather to look and act according to the season that the game will be in, and they are thinking of these seasons going by around every 2 weeks. Finally, we got our last weather demonstration. Here you can see the wind and the foliage being moved and affected by it. Even though this was already in the game, it was very subtle, or way more subtle, I will say, than right now it will be with the brand new effects with the weather changing and the wind intensity picking the hell up, like really picking up. Changes to the wind speed based off of the weather. You will get much more variety and intensity, a much stronger visual of the foliage interacting with the wind and moving around. The raindrops are also being affected by the direction of the wind. As you can see, the wind is pushing them accordingly with its direction. Now the rain is all completely simulated, so the drops are actually falling from the sky. You can see the helicopter propellers and them interacting with the rain, and those propellers, if you stand close enough to the heli, they will throw the rain around and will splash you in the face and basically give you that wet face effect, you know, where you got raindrops and you can't really see. You will be able to see things like raindrops creating splashes on water and things like puddles. Foliage like leaves and trees that are thick will provide cover from the rain. And as I mentioned before, as the rain stops, it will still drop and splash down from leaves and trees and roofs. In this clip, you can see how the effect of raindrops looks on your face with and without the hat, and how even the direction you are looking at is affecting the strength of the effect the rain flowing on your face has. Here we have them looking at the sky, having the rain directly fall on their face, and you can see how it changes with their hat off and now looking up. Then next they showed us the fog or the mist. That again, another thing that just looks incredible. Everything in Grey Zone Warfare looks really good and is extremely high when it comes to its visual standard. Now, this mist will be a sniper's nightmare. You'll have a bad time as a sniper on days like these because your visibility is going to be awful. They also mentioned thermals. They brought it up as like a way to counter the mist, but thank God, they said that they are very against adding thermals to the game. Fuck that shit. Don't ever add thermals to the game, please. Every game they are in, they are broken and cheese and just a piece of shit to be abused. So please, no thermals. Please. But yeah, in the new future, no goddamn thermals at all. So everybody, don't worry about that. Now, just in case, I gotta point out, just for a few people, that of course the weather and the rain and everything will have appropriate transitions. It's not just gonna jump from sunny to rain, you know, the way it is when they're showing it off. They're using console commands. There will be awesome transitions, and they got all this amazing real life data they got from professionals in that region to simulate rain and the weather effects and the transitions. So it's going to look really nice. Really good. And now finally, as usual, they did the Q&A with all the viewers. If you like to get some extra detail about everything I mentioned from them themselves, please watch the live stream. And if you also, of course, like to hear the answers and the questions, also you can watch that on their official live stream. All right. That is it for this video. Thank you all so much for chilling out and watching. I also hope that all of you enjoyed this video and found it useful. Please make sure to let me know what you think about the content coming with Winds of War or the video itself. And if you did enjoy it and found it even remotely useful, please consider leaving me a like and subscribing to the channel. I would deeply appreciate you if you could do that for me. We are on a road to 500 and we are actually getting really close. So to all of you that have been watching and subscribing and just showing me mad love, honestly, you guys are the best, and thank you so much for getting me so close to this goal. All of you are truly the best, beautiful souls in the world, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next one. Peace out, everybody.
虜になってしまえばきっとこの夏は充実するのモード噂のドリーミング忘れ